Conversations from the front lines of recruiting. This is Hireside Chats. Join us as we delve into the world of recruitment and explore the latest trends, challenges, opportunities, and insights from the best in the business. Get inspired by industry veterans and discover the secrets to building powerful talent functions from their experiences. Whether you're a CO, a seasoned HR professional, a growing business looking to scale, or someone just starting in the field, there's something for everyone. Ready for the ultimate recruitment power-up? Let's go!
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Hireside Chats, an exclusive podcast brought to you by Diamondpick that brings together insights, news, and views from industry leaders as they chat with us about how smart and effective hiring decisions are made. I'm your host, SatJ. In today's episode, as the world is celebrating love and romance, I'm going to be chatting with a very special guest, an industrious leader, passionate about a platform that creates a perfect match using the classic blend of product, technology, and data in the matchmaking industry. Listen all the way through for some interesting theories on the engineering behind building successful platforms and relationships. Introducing Mr. Rajesh Balaji Sathyanarayanan, the CHRO of Matrimony.com, India's leading online matrimony company with over 65% market share. Rajesh has over 25 years of extensive experience ranging from consulting, banking, to platform-based new age D2C industry. Drawing from his experience leading a matchmaking business, he will share with us how platforms and analytics work in successful matchmaking and how it translates to attracting and hiring today's talent with the potential to increase business success. Hi Rajesh, welcome to Hireside Chats.
Thank you, Satish.
Rajesh, why don't we kick things off by telling us a little bit about what you've been up to these days and what you're looking forward to in 2023?
Thanks for inviting me, Satish, over to this podcast. So a little bit about me while you have done the fair bit of introduction. If you look at my background of the last 25 years, I've worked for banking and for majority of my years. And then the reason that I've taken a conscious call to join Matchmaking.com is to understand how this whole platform business is operating. Right? Because the next decade or two is going to be the dominance from the aggregators. And Matrimony.com is an early bird, right? It started off 22 years ago and continue to dominate the market in that space. So in my view, if you look at 80% of the workforce globally are in the unorganized. And when you specifically talk about India, around 90 to 95% of the workforce work in unorganized sector. It is important that aggregators play a very, very critical role, make it much more organized. And the benefit of that is how this organized, unorganized sector will create a future competency for the country as a whole. Right? Because you will have a lot of data, you will have a lot of information, a lot of trends, and that will give a lot of data points for the industry and the government to apply onto the people so that the expansion of an organized sector will grow much more. So that's my fundamental interest in joining Matrimony.com. And then what I look forward in 2023 is further consolidation of this space. A lot of new spaces, like for example, we recently acquired a company called Shadi Saga and the wedding services. We are known for the matchmaking, but if you look at end-to-end for a wedding, not only starts with matchmaking, it ends with the complete wedding services. Like for example, looking for a mandap, or looking for a caterer, or looking for a music band, for example. If you look at North India, then you'll see a lot of parties. They're bringing all these people into a platform. We currently have 150,000 service providers in this newly created wedding services platform. So that is what is keeping me awake to see how this is going to grow in 2023. And the learning from that and connecting that back to talent is going to be a fantastic journey for me.
Great. Looks like you and I missed this about 25 years ago. I wish this was there when we were about to get married.
I don't think my spouse would agree to that.
So now let's talk a little bit more about Matrimony.com. We all know that it's a very trusted brand in almost every Indian household. Now, why don't you tell us about how this platform has created such a big impact today and gone on to become the market leader in the matchmaking space? So what do you think is the secret sauce behind this unrivaled success?
Okay, so before I talk a little bit about Matrimony.com, tell about who are we, right? So we are a company into matchmaking and empowering people to take appropriate decisions and finding their own partners. So, purpose of the company is to create a better society, better world. Better society is created by good citizens, and good citizens are created out of good parenting. Good partners can produce good kids, and invariably, if they parent their kids well, they create an evolved society. So, purpose is creating an evolved society or an evolved world. If you keep this purpose in the core, then what do? We create a platform where you will have potential people who are looking for bride and groom meet in the platform. They have enormous amount of choices in the platform where they are empowered to choose like-minded people. And this platform is supported by a solid fundamentals or a vertical of product, technology, data sciences, and a fundamental cover of a great customer service. We have a purpose, and there is a way, which is the platform, which is going to help us reach the purpose. And that platform is supported by technology, product, data sciences, and the customer experience. So that's how I would wrap matrimony.com as an organization. So everything that we do will ultimately connect back to purpose. For example, we are sitting in this room, like both of us will have Swiggy, right? Or both of us will have Zomato or Urban Company. Right? But similarly, if you look at every household where there is a potential groom and a bride of marriageable age, have matrimony.com or Bharat Matrimony in the parents platform or in potential bride and the groom's platform. Similarly, we wanted to integrate everything from matchmaking to the wedding services platform into their mobile phones. So every household which is looking for a groom or a bride will have our in their phone. So we take a big pride on that particular factor.
Great. In a high touch industry like yours, what do you think and how do you think technology integrates into the product to create an enhanced user experience? And just as a follow on to that, we know that analytics and data play a very critical role in matchmaking success, like you rightly described in the verticals that you have. But can you tell us a little bit about how you leverage data and knowledge to deliver an enhanced product?
See, the fundamental function of data and knowledge is to protect our customers. Safety of the customer is very important because when you're opening up the platform to the world, there are many kind of a scenario where there are possibilities of frauds or fraudulent activities might be there in any B2C platform, even if Amazon, for example, or any other platform, there are opportunities. But organizations give extreme importance to make sure that the platforms are safe, and that's how the brands get built. Similarly, matrimony.com's data sciences, the topmost priorities is the safety of our customers. So data and data sciences helps us to make sure that there are no fraudulent activities that takes place. Like, for example, we have photo intelligence app as part for data sciences. Like, for example, if I register myself as a potential groom and then I put Akshay Kumar's photo or Amir Khan's photo intelligence app pick that out and then single it out because it goes through a Python language that has been written in the app and goes and screens the photo across the celebrities, the sportsmen, and everything which is frequently posted, and it'll single them out. All those things happens in a jiffy. It doesn't happen as an overnight batch process or anything. So safety is utmost priority for us. The number two aspect that the data sciences and technology helps us is to identify the trend. So first one is safety. The second one is identifying the trend, like trend in terms of which direction the potential grooms and brides are thinking, their likes and dislikes. Gone are those days where people were looking for profession, income and all. But now they're looking for, okay, I like hiking. Does he also like hiking? Like I like cycling. And I like to travel. Does he or she also like to travel? So that kind of a personality match is what is evolving to with the help of data sciences. The third one is when you figure out the trend, data sciences would help us to craft the future business model. The trend will lead to what kind of a requirement in the future, which will help us to craft a product or a service of our own as an extension of our existing services. So data sciences is helping us in these three ways. And that's where the entire focus is on. Like if you look at our business, right, we have very models of revenue. One is if I equate it with the family, they said there is an adult is a revenue breadwinner for the family. Similarly, we have matchmaking business, which is an undisputed leader, which brings in revenue for the organization. The next one is like in any other family, you will have teams who are studying who will be the future breadwinner. Like we have another product called Jody, which is a path-breaking product launched because most of the matchmaking reaches out to the urban society. But Jody is more vernacular. It reaches out to tier 2, tier 3 non-graduates, and it reaches out to the sector where they don't have access to profiles or access to data points of brides and grooms, which will help make much more valued decision. So Jody is a product which is the future or a cash cow for us. And the third one is the babies. Like we have a lot of ideas. And these ideas would germinate to future business models. So this constant ideas are the one which is in the incubation for us. So at any given point of time, we have these three models supported by technology and AI. So this is how our data sciences, AI, ML, and deep learning helps us to keep the business much more robust.
So you're giving a very interesting proposition to Diamondpick. See, we are also in a very similar business. We do matchmaking, but between employers and employees. So maybe, the idea that you're throwing at us today is, we should start looking at the next generation of potential employees and employers and start building products and solutions to suit that population.
We do it at home all the time, right? I mean, our fathers were breadwinners and now and fathers will retire. Similarly, any other organization's services and product will also retire.
Right.
So the next gen business should take over. Business and families have no difference.
Interesting. So what are some of the other interesting and unique people matches that you've come across? I'm sure you can share some examples of some very unique things that you are doing at Matrimony.
See, interestingly, India is still a country which is run by community, caste, religion, and all. But there are certain segments who cuts across all these, and they are a community of their own. Like, for example, civil servants. It doesn't matter caste, community, or religion. They are a community of their own, right? And then there is a classic case of becoming a people match by themselves. Similarly, LGBTQ that we recently launched, which is a runaway success for us, and no other organizations have launched this from the matchmaking point of view. Divorcee Match is another interesting product which comes under the top 2 or 3 line items for us in a business point of view. Another interesting one is Doctors Matrimony. They are a community of their own because a doctor would most of the time prefer to have the doctor of their life. So these are the interesting people matches. And going back to your previous question of how did we arrive at these kind of a product and services, it's supported by the data analytics that keeps feeding in information saying that, what kind of a person is looking for what kind of a partner. So it's all data services and products that are getting rolled up.
Wonderful. That is some very interesting stuff, especially the last couple of examples that you gave, Rajesh, actually is triggering a lot of ideas as to future of matchmaking, be it in the matrimony space or be it in the recruiting space. I recently, and I'm sure you read this buzz online about how this new grad ended up pitching for a job to his match on a popular dating app and actually landed a job interview. It has sparked quite a chatter online, and people are calling dating apps as the new LinkedIn. These uncertain times call for innovative and new ways for employers and employees to find each other. And this sure is an example of recruiting out of the box. While it's unique, I think it's a underutilized recruitment strategy that is certainly worth exploring. Don't you think so, Rajesh?
Yeah, so definitely it's an evolving model, right? And especially when it comes to organizations which is into platform business, because it's D2C business. And then when you have a platform and so many people are using the platform, the people themselves can become a potential employee for us, especially when you carry a brand in the market. We tried this in the recent past. The great resignation was happening. So very recently, we were trying every possible ways of hiring, right? One of the ways is we have at any given point of time, 4 million active users of our platform. And divide the data of this 4 million, you will have a lot of technology people who work on data sciences, people who work on product, people who are doctors and engineers and all those people. So we created advertisements and then we created banner advertisements inside our platform. And then we keep pushing the data saying that why don't you apply for jobs? And then we have these technologies and these opportunities that we have. Interestingly, on an average, we used to get close to 1,000 to 1,500 impressions to the banner advertisements, of which around 10% of them show on their resumes to us.
Wow.
So our interview process was in line. So we saw that as a good model or a good source for us to hire people. And now we are trying to explore that much bigger. So like how LinkedIn is a source and Naukri is a source, matrimony.com is a source for us to hire.
So no wonder these matchmaking platforms have inspired job hunting apps to incorporate very similar functionality. And to attract and hire the new generation talent, we probably need to meet them where they are at on their phones with a very simple and digitally focused job application experience.
I hope at some day it becomes a new model.
For you, correct. So, Rajesh, recruiting and matchmaking, like I said, seem to have and share much in common. Employment is also a relationship that requires some level of courting, intimacy, and trust that needs to be developed and compatibility tested. So, let's quickly shift focus to talent. And as a CHRO, I know you've worked in multiple businesses, multiple corporations, and you have a lot of experience to share. So, can we capitalize on the best practices of matchmaking to enhance our recruiting efforts and create the perfect marriage between talent and employers? Is it as easy as it sounds?
It is definitely not easy, actually. It's like the market keeps evolving. It keeps changing. Our talent strategy also keeps changing. Currently, if you look at, we have around 7 mantras in talent strategy, and then everything revolves around that. Be it the tools that we introduce, be it the technology that we introduce, or be it the new policies and processes that we launch. So the first one is we are very clear that talent creates value and not money. Business or be it in the HR function. And within the HR function, our clear strategy is having right recruiters is key, right? Because separation is very painful. We don't want to get to that stage. So if you hire right, you don't have to get into the painful process of separation. So when there's a doubt in any hiring or a decision making of a candidate, we said, hold on, go and do a further search in the market. So every hiring, because we are a product company, we have the luxury of choosing the people that we want. Unlike services companies, the volume of headcount matters a lot. For us, it is not. So every hire that we do is a careful decision-making process, multiple rounds, there are tests and all this stuff. So there's no compromise on that. So we hire right is a mantra because we don't want to go through a painful separation. Another important mantra is promotion is a serious activity for us. We don't promote people, and it's only the person who's doing that role, not a time-bound promotion. It's a serious business. We spend more amount of time managing succession plans for critical roles only, not for all roles. So we identify critical roles and then spend enormous amount in creating the succession. So if you look at any given point in time, we have 3 layers of succession ready to roll at any point, right? And then as a culture, questioning the status quo. So we question anybody and everybody when and where required, be it CEO or be it CFO or be it a data scientist, right? Or be it a process. The last one is we are very good in embracing tools in the market. There are a lot of standalone tools in the market which would create superior employee experience. Our entire increment and appraisal process is automated end to end. So there is no Excels or there is no standard ERP that runs. We have a high defined performance appraisal and then the increment process, which empowers line managers to take decisions on increments, and it's again data provided. To online rewards and recognition platform, which used to be a manual run process. So the latest tools that are there in the market, which will enhance the employee experience, end-to-end platform. At any given point of time, our frontline staff will know what are the targets, where are they currently at, and what is the gap that they'll have to do. We also have salespeople in the front. So it's not a month-end activity or it's not a weekend activity. It's not an Excel churning activity or anything. It's completely automated. So people at any given point of time will know the performance in the phone and they operate accordingly. So tools, technologies backed by our principles of 7 mantras within the HR is what is leading us to support the business in 2023 and going forward.
Really interesting, Rajesh. And I think the mantras and the philosophy that you articulated can be a perfect template for most organizations to follow because these are simple yet very, very impactful. Thanks for sharing that. So, Rajesh, my last question to you is with regard to your comments around the market trends in the platform based hiring and talent solutions. What are your thoughts about it? And when I say market trends, the recent market trends.
Yeah. So the interesting market trends that is coming up is a whole lot of changes in the way the talent will look like in the future. And the current market trends of the current tools and technologies can also become redundant looking into the future way of talent being evolved. Like, for example, after Chat GPT being projected as a huge game changer, the role of technology and the role of technologists will have to be redefined. And we'll have to go back to the drawing board to relook at the whole talent strategy and solutioning for the future. So, in line with that, recruiters become very, very precious, and recruiters' time will be even more precious. So, we need to adapt tools which will actually shortlist automatically and then throws only the more fitter profile in line with the organization's future goals. And that will make sure that the recruiter will spend more time with the candidate and hire the right people inside the organization, because we got to be extremely careful considering the future changes that are going to happen. I'm going back to the point that we need to do this because separation is a very painful process. So we got to be conscious of what we're doing. And then I'm going back to playbook of Diamondpick and completely aligned to the thoughts of how a platform led approach is end to end integrated, that leads to enhanced candidate experience. That is not going to go away. That is there to stay, right? And because these are the fundamentals, the technologies, the tools, the solutions will keep changing, but the concept is not going to change. So that's how I would look at the solutioning and the future trends and our adaptation of like the way that you talked about in your playbook.
Great. Thank you, Rajesh. Those are some very interesting analogies that you made between matchmaking and talent acquisition. Recruiting today's generation of talent is definitely more of a courtship than a resume ranking exercise, and the use of data and technology is critical to elevate candidate experience to attract today's talent. And of course, finding, retaining, and developing talent, like you rightly said, in today's uncertain landscape is very critical as competition for star candidates remains high. And for the viewers and the listeners, I definitely think that you should look at our 2023 talent playbook, where we have provided a host of examples and our thoughts around what are the trends with regard to the talent in 2023. I'm sure you'll get a lot of insights when you go through our playbook. So with that, let me just quickly use this opportunity to thank you, Rajesh, for your time and sharing some very very insightful thoughts around the matchmaking business and how it is linked to recruiting today. With that, I would leave the floor to you to give us some closing comments. I know we are planning to launch this during February 14, Valentine's Day. So, Rajesh, what do you think is a secret to successful relationships, be it at businesses or in our own personal lives?
Okay, so that's a very big question, Satish. If you look at the way the world is changing, it's not easy to catch up with things, be it in the personal side or at work side. Things are constantly changing, aspirations are changing, kids are growing up faster, kids go through a lot more disruptions now than what we used to go through during our young age, right? So we only had one thing as disruption, that is going out and playing, but now kids are disrupted in multiple ways. So bringing them to focus was a big challenge for parents, and it's becoming very very expensive and challenging. And so husband and wife should constantly be on toes. Similarly, at work, if you look at, things are changing, and work as well, like as recent as the new technologies that are coming up, the chat GPTs, and then Google is introducing new AI, putting question mark in the technology world, what is going to happen in the future. But if somebody has to be successful in both the places, ultimately we are coming back to the point of relationship, be it employer-employee relationship or colleagues relationship or relationship at home. The one thing that connects in both the places is empathetic connections. The reason that I'm saying empathetic connections is because in a fast moving world, empathy becomes very, very important. If you keep empathy out and do only connections, that also won't work very well. But if you keep connections or keep only empathy and no connections, that is also not going to. So it has to be an empathetic connections, and that is going to be creating a successful society that includes work and family. Thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, Rajesh. That brings us to the end of this very interesting episode, all about building the crux of modern day matchmaking and relationships. Once again, Rajesh, thank you very much for your time and for sharing with us the best way to optimize sourcing and recruiting processes by following the wisdom of high performing matchmaking. And I think the punchline about empathetic relationships really hit the nail on the head. And to all those who tuned in, thank you for listening to Hireside Chats. Enjoy the rest of your day with your special someone. And join us on our next episode by subscribing to Hireside Chats today. Don't forget to leave a review or share on your socials to help us reach as many ears as possible. So until next week, stay tuned.